Welcome to today's news wrap up. Let's dive right into the top stories making headlines today. Virginia Democrats have advanced a resolution to enshrine abortion rights in the state's constitution, allowing abortion up until birth. This measure, which passed in both the Senate and the House of Delegates, is part of a 2-year amendment process. If approved again next year, it will become a ballot measure in 2026. The amendment would prevent the legislature from regulating abortionists and the distribution of abortion drugs. Republicans opposed the measure, citing risks and false information, while Democrats prioritize it as a top issue. The amendment would also eliminate parental consent for underage abortions and allow abortions without restrictions on the term age of the unborn child. If Democrats maintain their majority of the House of Delegates, the amendment will likely pass and go to voters. Wow. Perplexity AI has made a bid to acquire TikTok's U.S. operations, which CEO Aravind Srinivas believes will benefit both investors and President Trump. The proposal includes a 50% ownership stake for the U.S. Government in a new joint venture, ensuring American control and accountability. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like the government owning 50% of that. But this move aims to keep TikTok operational in the U.S. while addressing concerns about data security and Chinese influence. The new entity would also create competition for Google in the search market, leveraging TikTok's popularity among younger users for real-time search results. Following President Trump's imposition of a 25% tariff on Mexico, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum quickly agreed to deploy 10,000 National Guard soldiers to the border to combat fentanyl trafficking. In return, the U.S. will pause the tariffs for 1 month to ensure compliance. This move marks a significant breakthrough in U.S.-Mexico relations, with both countries committing to work on security and trade issues. The tariffs, initially intended to address drug trafficking and illegal immigration, have prompted swift action from Mexico to avoid economic repercussions. And I did a separate video earlier today on how Justin Trudeau, Canada's prime minister, have followed suit and basically agreed to the same thing. Just 2 weeks into his second term, President Trump announced new tariffs, including a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico and Canada, and a 10% tariff on imports from China. We already alluded to how Mexico and Canada has just been put on pause, but this move had prompted China to prepare for trade talks with the Trump administration, aiming to restore a trade agreement and reaffirm its pledge not to devalue the yuan for a competitive advantage. China's initial proposal will focus on restoring the Phase 1 deal from early 2020, which required China to increase purchases of American goods and services by $200 billion over 2 years. Additionally, China plans to make more investments in the U.S., commit to reducing exports of fentanyl precursors, and avoid devaluing the yuan. Senator Chuck Schumer recently made a blunder while criticizing President Trump's tariffs, claiming that most U.S. beer comes from Mexico. I don't know where he got that from. And this is prior to Mexico giving in to Trump as well. Let me clarify that. But Schumer's attempt to highlight the impact of tariffs on Super Bowl festivities backfired as his statement was inaccurate. While the top selling beer brands in the U.S. is Mexican, the majority of beer consumed in the country is domestically produced. I mean, we know that. Schumer's comments were seen as an attempt to oppose Trump without substantial evidence, leading to criticism for his lack of understanding of the beer industry and the actual effects of tariffs. CNN experienced a significant drop in its primetime viewership in January, with the 14% decline compared to the same month last year. Despite major news events like the Los Angeles fires and a presidential inauguration, CNN's ratings continued to fall. In contrast, Fox News saw a substantial increase in viewership with a 40% rise in total viewers and a 61% increase in key demographic. MSNBC also faced a decline, losing 33% of its primetime audience. Fox News dominated the ratings, securing 14 out of 15 of the top 15 cable news shows for the month. That is wild. President Trump's border czar Tom Homan announced that illegal border crossings have decreased by a whopping 93% since Trump took office. This significant drop is attributed to Trump's executive orders, which include declaring a national emergency and designating certain gangs as foreign terrorist organizations. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem echoed Homan's comments, highlighting the success of Trump's policies in securing the border. Homan emphasized the importance of border security for national security and praised Trump's efforts as a game changer. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy has openly admitted that he and his wife, Tammy Murphy, are harboring an illegal immigrant in their home. During an event with Blue Wave, New Jersey, Murphy revealed that the individual whose immigration status is still being resolved is living above their garage. Murphy challenged federal authorities to intervene. Why would he do that? Emphasizing his support for immigrant-friendly policies. The admission comes amid ongoing immigration enforcement actions in New Jersey and highlights the tension between state and federal immigration policies. Bill Kristol, a well-known neoconservative, or rhino as I like to call him, recently tweeted that he prefers the deep state running America over Trump. As if we didn't already know that. But this statement has sparked significant reactions on social media, with many questioning Kristol's motives. Kristol's comments comes as Elon Musk's Department of Efficiency, or DOGE, gains unprecedented access to monitor and limit government spending thanks to Treasury Secretary Scott Bassett. This move has already led to the resignation of a top Treasury official, David A. Librick, who opposed giving Musk's team access. And Musk's efforts to expose government activities are seen as a threat to figures like Kristol, who may have benefited from the status quo. Of course, he benefited from the status quo. President Trump is set to issue an executive order to withdraw the U.S. from the United Nations Human Rights Council, or UNHRC, and halt future funding for the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, the UNRWA. The decision is based on accusations that the UNHRC has consistently shown bias against Israel and failed to address human rights violations by some of its member countries. This move follows a similar withdrawal during Trump's first term in 2018. The Biden administration had paused funding to UNRWA after reports of his involvement in the October 7th terrorist attack on Israel. Critics argue that the UNHRC has not fulfilled its purpose and has instead protected countries committing severe human rights abuses. Wired has doxed engineers from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, leading to threats against them and their families from leftist activists on social media platforms like Blue Sky. These activists are calling for the engineers to be hunted down in retaliation for Musk's efforts to dismantle the deep state. The situation has escalated as government employees try to block Doge investigators and outside agitators intensify their attacks on government accountability. Why do people hate government accountability so much? But Musk has sent top talent from his companies to disrupt the current order, causing outrage among bureaucrats and media outlets. The Department of Justice under Trump's administration is mobilizing to defend Doge workers against these threats. This conflict highlights the resistance to Musk and Trump's efforts to reform government operations and cut off funding to transnational organizations and the deep state. But you know they're going to fight tooth and nail to prevent Doge from cutting off their funding and access. President Trump has announced plans to impose tariffs on European Union imports following similar actions against Canada and China. The tariffs on Mexico, initially part of the same executive order, have been delayed for 1 month after Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum agreed to deploy 10,000 National Guard soldiers to the border to combat fentanyl trafficking. And Trudeau, Canada's president, Justin Trudeau, did the same thing. And so we paused Canada as well. Trump stated that the tariffs on the EU would happen pretty soon and are intended to address the trade imbalance in the automobile and agricultural sectors. He emphasized that the United Kingdom would likely not face similar measures due to Brexit. The EU has expressed strong opposition to Trump's tariff strategies and promised a response if targeted. Secret Service agent Rashid Ellis has publicly criticized the agency's diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, policies, claiming that they contributed to an assassination attempt on President Trump last summer. Ellis, a 13-year veteran, argues that DEI quotas have lowered hiring and training standards, compromising the agency's ability to protect the president. He believes that prioritizing gender and race over merit has led to security failures, including the attempt on Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania. Ellis's comments are part of a broader documentary by the Independent Women's Forum, highlighting the negative impact of DEI policies on federal agencies. Tulsi Gabbard nomination for Director of National Intelligence has received a boost, with Senator Susan Collins announcing her support, and I am just as shocked as y'all. Collins, a key swing vote on the Senate Intelligence Committee, praised Gabbard's vision to reduce the size of the DNI and her stance on Edward Snowden. Despite facing tough questions during her confirmation hearing, Gabbard's nomination now hinges on votes of other committee members, including Senator Todd Young, who has expressed concerns about her views on Snowden. The committee is set to vote on her nomination soon, and Gabbard remains focused on addressing national security issues and depoliticizing the intelligence community. Lastly, a hidden camera video has exposed Brandon Wright, a GS-14 IT manager at the Department of Homeland Security, discussing how career bureaucrats resist political appointees' directives. Wright criticized Secretary Kristi Noem, expressing disdain for her leadership and claiming that DHS employees filter directives to minimize their impact. Wow. The video, released by James O'Keefe, led to Wright being placed on leave and facing an investigation. DHS stated that such behavior would not be tolerated and Wright's termination is imminent. This incident highlights the ongoing resistance within the federal agencies against the Trump administration's efforts to reform government operations. Just crazy, right? But that's all for today's news wrap up. Stay tuned for more updates, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.